so nice that quite a few people have come again for the Friday night meditation, even though the footy season has started, and I think a lot of people have gone to watch the footy. So I was asked to come to give the talk this evening. Venerable Niputo was supposed to be here, but he had a knee problem, so I said, of course, I'd like to come see beautiful people here in Nolomara. I was asked to give the talk today. Somebody hinted a topic, talk about nature. I said, yeah, okay, that nature is a very nice topic. Nature is one of those things what the early Buddhist monks and nuns actually praised. There's a lot of kind of quite negative things quite sometimes in the suttas. We always look at it like, oh, suffering, this and that, it's like terrible. But nature is actually praised in many places. So there's wonderful passages even in the stories of the senior monks and nuns who praise the nature, how beautiful it is. And especially I can just imagine when they were coming out of deep meditations and they were like sitting there under a cool shade of a tree, and they were like just saying how beautiful the nature is. It must be, you can imagine like your mind is very elated, very, very happy, and then you just look at the nature around you. Pristine nature in India these days, I'm sure they've lost a lot of it in India, in those places where the monks and nuns lived in those days. But even there's here sometimes, like Ajahn Brahm talks about the nature when he was meditating in the caves, right? He talks about it quite often, and he said the most fragrant smell for him is the pat poo smell. It's not some beautiful fragrance, but it's the pat poo. And I can imagine that it's like has this kind of like, it evokes a memory of something beautiful. It's interesting even for us monastics in Bodhinyana monastery. Sometimes people come to monastery and they're just laden with those fragrances. And as a monk, you live in the forest, and we don't use that many fragrances really, or at all. We're not supposed to use them, or we even try to use very, very neutral washing powders or like soaps and things. But so then and we tend to be a bit smelly anyways. We don't wash that often. Interesting fact, in Bodhinyana, the monastery, the shower water we use is dam water. So this time of the year it starts to get a bit not so fragrant. It's very natural. So we tend to be a bit smelly, the monks, and so but you get these people and they're well washed, and they is like spray all the cologne before they come to monastery, and it's like you smell them a mile away, and when you're not used to it, when you smell natural all day and everybody else smells very natural around you, it's quite pungent and quite sort of, it's not pleasant. So it's interesting, these perceptions, when you perceive certain things like, oh, that smells nice. You go to this, I don't know, tax-free shop in the airport, and you smell all the things, oh, it smells really nice. And then you just got to spray it everywhere. And you come to monastery and it's like, wow, it's too much. Is that natural? I'm not sure. Why do we don't want to smell natural? I remember one time, see, I come from Finland, and I went to Russia a few times, and then one time we were in this exchange program, and in St. Petersburg they have this really old metro system. It's one of the oldest in Europe. And the nature in St. Petersburg is such that they had to dig the metro subway really, really deep, because it's actually built on really soft land. It's like bogland, when the Tsar decided, oh, that's a perfect place for capital. So they had to dig these metroways really deep. And I went there, and it shows my age. It's about 25 years ago when I went there. And that time Russia was, okay, now they're not doing too well either, but that time they was just coming out of the communist time, and they didn't have that much outside influence, and a lot of people were using the metro, and they were, one thing, they didn't have a lot of these things to, to spray on yourself. What do we do these days? Try to keep the human bodily odors, natural odors away. And I remember you go there, and what do you try to do as a young man? Well, you try to position yourself right, always close to the young, pretty ladies, so you can be next to them. And the interesting thing is, you just sort of sit next to, and you assume they're going to smell nice. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it just comes to my mind. And you just sort of what do you do? Is just you go next to him, oh, she's pretty, and you go she smells like human. And it's interesting things why I just remember that, because you don't expect a pretty young lady to smell like a human. You expect them to smell not natural. But these things, what we call natural these days, we're shifting away from the nature. I mean, I think sometimes nature is not as clean or organized or the way we want it to be. Sure, we want to eat natural foods. What is natural food? What does it mean? Organic food maybe is natural. Or we see ourselves somehow outside of nature. What you are as nature as anything. We are animals. I'm always quite often think about how we came as a part of an evolutionary process, and here we are. This is the nature we created. We created all these cities. We created halls. We created cars, driveways, everything. That's our nature now. That's what we created. And we are animals who create these kind of things. But maybe that is a natural habitat for us humans now. I was just talking to Venerable Kimbala here, my co-pilot tonight, how maybe we have changed a lot. It's hard now to know if we would get somebody coming for 200 years ago or 300 years ago, and they would come to me and look at you and to look at me, and they were I talk about all my problems and this and that, and it was oh, you're sissy. Then maybe they were a lot tougher in those days. I'm not sure. It's hard to know sometimes what happens, how we are, because we cannot be outside of history or outside of our society where we live. But so never see yourself somehow separate from nature. And even with your mind, just see it as a natural process. It evolved to be a certain way. And in very, very big extent, it's very positive, very good to see our body as just being part of nature. Our bodies are just made out of natural things. And if you look at how many cells we have, there's probably, not just probably, there's more bacteria in our bodies than the human cells, right? And yet, quite often we are sort of upset with our bodies. The body's aging. The body's sick. Why do we have to be upset with the body? The body belongs to nature. It's part of nature. If the body would belong to us, belong to you, you could say, I don't want my body to be this way, and then it would observe your wishes and whims. But it doesn't. You cannot tell your body to be this way or that way. The body just belongs to nature. It's really, really important to contemplate these things. This Sunday I will go through a sutta, and that's one of those things which comes up in that sutta is sickness, old age, and death. So when you contemplate these things, that this body is just a natural body, you're lessening that attachment to the body. We will all get sick. There's no avoiding it. We will all age, die. There's no avoiding it. It's good to think about it, contemplate it, often. It's good to think about other people's bodies. They just belong to nature as well. When you see other people around you who are suffering, who they have bodily suffering, there is a lot of things we know. Our parents, relatives, loved ones. We're attached to them. It's natural. When you spend time with somebody, you just become attached to them. And you look at them, there's like their body's subject to natural things as well. Therefore, I need to take care of them. And same with their mind. The mind just comes whimsically. I need to take care of others around me. I will lose them one point. It's very easy to break things, but it's very difficult to keep things together. And it's interesting, even if you think about this will all end tomorrow. AI will take over. It's going to wake up tonight. Who knows? Who knows what those big, what do they call them, tech bros, what they have access to. They have unlimited tokens. Imagine Elon Musk has his personal AI. What can he do with it? Unlimited tokens. He's in control. Tonight the AI will wake up. Tomorrow, maybe tomorrow we hear. But if the world will end day after tomorrow, what should you do tomorrow? Plant a tree. Do something for nature. The tree will outlast you. The tree will outlast the imminent takeover by AI. The tree will be there, right? Plant a tree tomorrow. Do something good for nature. Take care of our natural world. Maybe we have to be wiped out. Maybe it is just our destiny. We created this world. This became our natural habitat. We controlled it in a way. Everything we see around us is perfectly for our size, right? Everything fits to us humans. We're trying to make everything fit more and more. Everything is our size in this world. But maybe now is the time to go. But the nature will stay. But if we are part of this natural world, it's still a beautiful world, right? Sometimes we do loving-kindness meditation. And when I like to do loving-kindness meditation, I like to start it from myself. And I always emphasize it's very, very important to care about yourself. Why do you care about yourself? Because the world revolves around you. That's the truth, right? You think about you. So that's why you care about yourself first. Because your world revolves around you, so it's good that the one thinks about yourself all the time, takes care of you. Ajahn Mudito, one of my teachers, he lives now in Newbury Monastery. He's been the abbot there for a while in Melbourne. And I went to one of his talks, and he said it very beautifully. He said, if you have money in the bank, you can give money. If you don't have money in your account, what happens when you give? You're going into debt. That's right. So it's the same with loving kindness. If you have loving kindness in your bank account, when you're giving, you can give loving kindness. If you have a zero or negative loving kindness, what are you giving? It's not loving kindness. And you're going into debt. So have loving kindness bank account first. Keep doing loving kindness towards yourself. Acceptance, forgiveness, all those things towards yourself. More and more. Accept yourself. Nobody else is really going to do it for you. You have to do it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Then you have a bank account. Then it starts spilling out. Then you can start caring about others, or you actually will start caring about others in a correct way, right way. Then it actually is compassion. If you don't know what compassion is, you cannot give it. So when you start doing this loving kindness, okay, going back to the idea of like this globe, we live in this beautiful blue planet, right? So we start loving kindness from ourselves, that's what I'm saying. Start doing the loving kindness meditation. I really care about myself. Obviously I learned the care from somebody. How do I learn the care? I learned it from my mom and dad. I learned it from my grandmother. I learned it for our dog we used to have. I learned it from people around me. I know what it feels to be cared. I learned it from these people, others. And then I direct it from myself. I care about myself. Then you start spreading a little bit towards the world. You think about the beautiful nature we live in. It's good. We belong in this earth. We are part of this nature. And then you start going out and further and further. And then even when you go up in space, when you're doing loving kindness and you're looking down into this beautiful blue planet, and you're having kindness towards this whole planet, it's amazing. We live in this planet which is just in this vast space around us. And we're all here together. Why would I feel anybody's different than I am when we're all here together? How can you not have kindness towards everybody? How can you think somebody's different than you? Even if I think my friend Donald Trump, he's just like me, wakes up in the morning, he's brushing his teeth, he uses the toilet, then he goes and does important things. I do the same thing. This morning, what was the important thing I did? I ate breakfast. Then, I cleaned my hut. That was an important thing, because I was coming here for the weekend, so I had to clean my hut. Termites ate the door ledge on my hut, so I had to take that off as well. So I did a little work. Important work. I'm sure Donald does maybe more important things, but it's about the same. Not big difference there. His world around, goes around him, and my world is very important for me. It's all the same. It's not much difference. So he's not different than I am. I cannot have bad attitude towards him. Poor Donald. People don't understand him. The same way nobody understands me. I have problems. Life is difficult. I could tell you a joke. You might have heard this, but this is Ajahn Brahm joke. So our friend Donald, he woke up one morning and said, nothing is going my way. I try my best, people don't understand. So being Trump, he calls the Pope. He said, look, I need something, it's not happening. I try everything, people just don't see how well I do in the world. I need a miracle. You have the number to the big guy up there? The Pope says, yeah, maybe. He said, look, I heard you fixing one of the chapels there in Vatican. You could have a bit of a kickback. And, don't worry about it. If it goes over budget, I'm sure we could suss it out. So the Pope says, Okay, yep, I think I can make a couple phone calls. I have the number. So he makes the phone call, and then he calls back to Trump and he says, look, it's all sorted. Tomorrow's Monday. You wake up in the morning, and then have a press release in front of the White House. And you have the pool there in front of the White House, which you just built with the new extension. Yeah. Okay, go to the pool and you will be able to walk on water. So Trump goes there in a Monday morning, he calls all the press. Okay, I'm going to give this amazing announcement now. We have the new extension for the White House. Now we have the new beautiful pool here, designed by me. It's called the Donald Trump pool. And then I will show you something. So he goes into the edge of the pool and he takes the leap of faith. And he doesn't sink in. He's walking on the water. He walks across the pool and everybody's watching him. The press is watching him. Everybody sees what he's just done, and next day, New York Post, Washington, whatever, all the headlines are. He's even worse than we thought. He cannot even swim. It's not working for him. Okay, so back to the nature. Talk about nature. So, nature. One thing we all the time talk about, climate change, right? We always see these things about something to be worried about. Everything. Bad news, sell. What if this is going to happen? What if that's going to happen? What if? And then what? And then what? And we keep speculating, and then what? And then what? What if it doesn't happen? What if world doesn't end? What if tomorrow is just a regular day? Sure, it might be warm. We can forecast the weather pretty well tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be hot. But what if the world doesn't end? What if your worst thing, what you thought about your life, didn't come true? Anything you think in life, this is actually comes sort of from the suttas. I should talk about sometimes a little bit about the suttas, since being a monk, and I'm here to talk about Dhamma. The Buddha described that whatever you think about the future, it's always going to be different. So the nice thing about you can consider that anything what comes to your mind, it turns out different. So at least you can tick those boxes. Well, at least that's not going to happen. So even in your own world, you're always speculating. What is going to happen? And terrible. And it's not going to be good. This and that. Okay, well, great. Well, those things are not coming to true. So always come back into this kind of reality a little bit. All of these things, what we perceive, how we perceive the world, it's just your perceptions. And how much reality there is in your perceptions. What do you think? The way you perceive the world. You can see something beautiful, or you can see them not so beautiful. We can see things changing in the world, climate change, in the nature, but we can still see a lot of beauty in nature. Like I said, the early monks and nuns, when they were meditating, and their mind was super clear, very uplifted. It's a really beautiful time when you come out of meditation, and it doesn't even mean that you go into jhanas, into deep meditation, but you just have this uplifted meditation. You just had calmness. And you feel like you are just part of this nature. The birds, they sound beautiful. The rustling of the leaves, how the sun sieves through the leaves, the green you see, how beautiful it is. But the nature is just the same. It didn't change. What changed? It's your perception. So be careful about negative perceptions about the world or yourself. Don't believe into those too much. Don't take your perceptions to be you, and don't take it to be that is exactly correct. Quite often we see others in a certain way, in sort of through our lenses. Our lenses are always skewed. We see the world through our own perception. So try to skew that towards positivity. See the world through kind eyes. See the world that there is still hope. It's the best we can do. It's the best we can do. We cannot change what it is. We can only change ourselves. We can only say things which are positive. We can only try to keep things together. Make it better. Breaking is easy. Taking care is hard. Right? So it's this world we live in is good enough. Our bodies are good enough. Everything we have is good enough. So try to have that kind of perceptions in life. Go towards nature, how it is naturally. Don't think yourself you're outside of it and we somehow destroyed everything. We're just part of it. We're not different. So I think that's enough for tonight. 30 minutes, and I can see our Eddie is already sleeping. So we can go now for Q&A if there's any questions. So thank you for everybody, and thank you so much. Sadhus. Anyways, we can start from I think they had to, the nature was calling for our AV team. I saw the whole team went together towards the toilet, so nature calling. So is there any questions online in the hall, if anybody wants to make comments, questions? Good, then the microphone is coming right to your way.
Okay, I'll try and put this in words, but what about those that, personally, a lot of what I think does eventuate.
Right.
Yeah,
good.
So, and I have a real struggle with accepting that my perception isn't reality.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of problems trying to let go of things and... what about those that maybe are in tune with nature and, can almost predict, like Nostradamus and those kinds of people?
Right.
How do they fit into everything you think, is not going to come true?
I think the intuition there is something to intuition. And I like the idea of gut feeling. It's like your gut feeling is telling you something, but even then you have to be quite careful with it, because sometimes the gut feeling you sort of overlay things on it. But yes, we should trust ourselves, and you trust your gut feeling about things, but quite often, at least I can see in myself, there is a lot of if my mind is not clear, I can. The interesting thing is that when my mind is clear, when I meditate more, or had good meditation, so to speak, I can see that there was actually a lot of baggage which was coming with how I previously acted. When your mind is not clear, it's hard to see where you're coming from, and when you're sort of outside of that a little bit, then you see it's like, oh, I was doing that, but I didn't realize that. But you can have it even small sense that when you're just walking and just paying, it's like instead of thinking, it's like, oh, what if I just walk? And then you're walking and you realized how heavy your head was, how many things were running in your mind all the time in your head. But sure, intuition, like somebody's going to call you, and you're just like you know who's going to call you, and then 1 second later the call comes from that person. Or I've had intuitions like somebody, I think something has happened, and I've heard the relative has died, or something has happened. Recently my mom just broke a hip, and I was like, something is not right. And then I got an email from my sister, my mom had broke a hip. There was a little bit inclination, and it was just, I think it's natural, and it's just part of nature as well. And I do believe that there is things which you cannot explain, but yeah. So, long story short, but sure, it's good to believe your intuitions. And yeah.
I've been thinking recently about the monasteries are actually quite important in terms of conservation of nature.
Mm-hmm.
The monasteries cover large tracts of land, beautiful woodland, and the suttas are full of stories about nature.
Mm-hmm.
The sal trees flowering at the Buddha's parinibbana,
Mm-hmm.
the sal trees flowering when the Buddha's mother gave birth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Thailand, monks ordain trees. I forget what the term is.
Yeah, they put the ropes around them.
They put the ropes around the trees
Yeah.
and ordain the trees to prevent them being cut down. And I just wondered how you view yourself as a steward of nature, or how you feel about the role of monasteries in conservation, because you really are in a privileged position.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. I haven't thought of that. I mean, the nice thing is that even when you do, I talked briefly about the contemplation, and sometimes I do think about this, there's like how we have this idea of, in Buddhism, tree devas, for example, that there is actually beings which are inhabiting these areas, and there's something about, like, even in the monastery, like, you go, we have full moon nights and you're walking through the forest, and then there's just a full moon out there, and we're so lucky we don't have a lot of light in the monastery in Bodhinyana, where it's just it's in that, also the light pollution, it is a pollution, and you see the Milky Way and you see the canopy, or over with the moonlight, and so there is something magical about quiet forests. So whether we do so much about conserving the forest, but I think it was good for us to just leave it alone. It was like, Ajahn Brahmi's always been like, let's not plant things too much, or we don't have lawns and stuff. Like, as you've been in a monastery many times, you said, like, a lot of it's just nature, and nature is messy. Like, you think it was like you want hedges, and they have to be hedged, but birds love thickets of things which just look like scrap, would. But so a lot of things is sometimes it's good to just allow nature to be nature, and it's like not to control it. So, and that's what we, if anything, we've done in the Bodhinyana, that we don't try to control it too much. Yeah, I'll take care of it the best of our ability. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for your talk tonight. It's very interesting. I live by the ocean and I go to the beach and I connect with nature in that way. Keeping the connection when you return home and life gets busy and things start to happen. Being a pragmatic person, I'm just wondering whether you might have like a step 1, step 2, step 3 to keeping the connection.
Right. Well, one thing you do, I have to remember that what we talk about here always, it's your whole life starts to be lined with the teachings. You come as a Buddhist society. Our teachings are like you meditate. That's what we do here. But it's not just meditation. We need to over and over again bring this kind of subject into our minds. Like, well, how am I living? Because how you meditate is how you live. How, what people say, oh, I can't meditate, or I cannot go into deep meditation, I cannot stop thinking. Well, that's how you live. So it's like, how do you align your life to be in it's like the way you would like to be? Okay, so it needs this kind of active doing, but in a sense that you start understanding yourself more and more. You start seeing those kind of like, oh, this is how I think. Okay, I haven't been really kind towards myself. Therefore, I lost that nice feeling of being in nature. I haven't been able to let things go, let things be, so to speak. We quite often we think like, oh, I'm supposed to be something different. I'm supposed to be fight against these things I have in who I am, instead of just allowing it to be like nature. We don't try to control the nature or change the nature. Nature is beautiful because you go to the beach and it is just what it is. You don't control it. It is this. I think that's the beauty of nature, of like uncontrolled. We cannot control it. So if we try to come more and more towards that idea that this is who I am, this is just conditioned being who I am. I don't need to fight it, but you need to learn who it is. Like you investigate nature, be interested about it, and then you can that's the mindfulness practice. This is the meditation what gives you the feedback, and then more and more you go into this kind of like, it's okay. This is who I am. And then in that sense, you become, even when you are busy life, you have your priorities corrected. What if you go to doctors on Monday and they said, well, we did the test and yeah, you have cancer. Then you get your priorities corrected, but then it's forced on you. Let's not wait until then. Let's just say, hang on. What are my priorities? What will the small little, the bottom line will be on my funeral? What will they read? It's good to contemplate it. It's good to contemplate death, old age, sicknesses, instead of like, oh, it will be I'm busy now, I don't have time. No, don't think that way. So get your priorities sorted. And then that kind of nature who you are, you're okay with it. And then everything else sort of comes in line with it. You can meditate better, you're less busy because you understand there's no point of spending our life running around. And yeah, contemplate. I think it's very, very important. Okay, Eddie. Look, there's Eddie Tim here. Eddie, I read these and then I come to you.
Okay.
Eddie Tim, dear Ajahn from Indonesia, what do we do today today feeling that arise, whether it is wholesome or unwholesome? So should we enjoy or ignore or watch them? How is this concept of being mindful connect to this? So okay, this wholesome and unwholesome things, like I said, this knee-jerk reaction obviously is to like let's fight it. That is very, very natural human thing to do, and us religions, we tend to tell you to fight your unwholesomeness. I'm sure, not name any religions, but I'm sure there's a lot of religions who propose you do this or don't do that. Dress this way, don't dress that way. Don't use your sexuality this way or that way. I'm sure us religious figures can tell you many things which are unwholesome, so to speak. But we should always remember this kind of unwholesome and wholesomeness is that, are you hurting somebody? Are you hurting yourself? Are you hurting others? Are you leaning towards being more kindness and more accepting? There is no, like, what is unwholesome is to actually to be unkind, to hurt. The things which you know are not good for you. But if you have, what do you think, unwholesome things come into your mind, you don't ignore them? No. Enjoy them? Again, no. I mean, the thing is, let's say you go to the certain places in internet and you think that it's enjoyment, but you think, I just do it and then it will be over and done with. It's not. So we should not sort of like, we should move away from this gross defilement, so to speak. But, so lean towards caring and kindness and all that, and then propagate, make more of that. And again, it always starts from yourself. Make more of the good things about yourself. But sometimes I find it easier, instead of like I don't know, it's not really working. Just drop it. Just ignore it. It is actually a valid thing to do. That's why I always say, when you're walking, sometimes just walk. Just walk. Why are you thinking all the time? Why are you fighting yourself? Nobody's going to win. Dear Ajahn, mind has in German different meanings depending on this context. Could you please define mind in the spiritual Buddhistic context and attributes to it? Thank you kindly. Yes, okay, sure, it has a different kind of attributes. A mind is not one single thing. There's many things, like your perception is your mind. It's part of it, but without going too deep into it, just look a monk who has thought about Anatalakkhana Sutta. Ajahn Brahm is brilliant teaching that. So just look what the sutta, a teaching on non-self. So so those are the different like what are attributes to a mind. But then, but the mind, you basically mind is wherever your attention is. That's pretty much who you are. Wherever the mind lands to, it's in your knee for a while, and then it goes into your mind, and then you perceive something, and then that grows. Any one of those things is you at that moment. So it's not that difficult. You just, when you look at your mind, you close your eyes, you start saying, it's like, it runs here and there, and it's like, that's who I am. It's not reality, but that's as good as you get. Question from Bolivia. If giving leads to being rich and metta being beautiful, why do we often find stingy people, stingy rich people, or angry beautiful persons? Since childhood, I don't believe delayed karma is so potent. Okay, it's hard to know with the karma where it comes from and all that, but you could like, okay, let's say this metta being beautiful, it actually being perfectly, if you look at this, where it says, it talks about being more like non-ugly, but kindness leads to non-ugliness. But you can think it about this way: even if you are an ugly person, maybe I shouldn't look at anybody. Even if you are an ugly person, if you are kind, people perceive you as, beautiful in that sense. So, like, who are nice, who are beautiful people in my mind? I think of my grandma. I don't think she was, when she was 80 years old, that she would have won maybe the Miss Universe. Maybe, but highly unlikely. But I could perceive her as a beautiful person, right? That's beauty. And in that, we can believe that. And rich people are the ones who feel rich, not the ones who have a million or billionaires these days. They're not rich because they don't have enough. People who have enough, they're rich. So the people give is because they feel like they can give. A giving person is wealthy in a sense because they can give. Even if you have $1 million, but you cannot give anything, well, you're not very wealthy, are you? And then the last one, kid. I'm a kid. How do I meditate? Close your eyes. See something moving. What's moving? It doesn't matter. Just relax. Just watch the movement. That's it. That's how you meditate. Eddie.
Oh, Ajahn Mudito,
Yes.
I like today's topic, nature. I particularly like the word you mentioned, nature,
Yeah.
Yeah. When I hear the word nature, I was trying to link, how is a Buddhist doctrine, how this nature links to me, how it can help me. Okay, yeah. Don't you think the Buddha's teaching is nature?
Yes.
Nature.
Yes.
And
Dhamma.
then, because it tells us about the 5 aggregates, okay, directly, that's direct, okay, to do with our mind, our thinking, our feelings, the ideas, mental form, the aggregates, all these things, okay, yeah. So he's telling us, and he showed us a way, His teaching is suffering and out of suffering. He's told us all these things.
Yeah.
But then, we are not, a lot of us, okay, we have a lot of dust in our eyes, or they can't see it, this thing, okay. Whenever there's a problem or anything, we fight it,
Yep.
We forget to tell it, the Buddha have patience, patience, tolerance, understanding are the highest virtues which everyone must cultivate, not. So we do all this and then we suffer. We go against the
nature.
Yeah,
no, I mean, sometimes Dhamma, depending on the context, you can like Buddha's teaching, Dhamma is Buddha's teaching, but it's also, you could translate some context, sometimes it's nature. Yeah, no, it's
very much nature.
It's very much nature. Bodies belong to nature, our mind belongs as natural things, and Dhamma is basically, whole Dhamma is how the world works, what the natural things are, the Buddha saw it a certain way, and then he just kept trying to explain us, like, this is his see through my eyes. Yeah. Thank you, Eddie.
It's hard, but it needs practice, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. It takes a bit of time, and it's like, look, we have good teachers, and good friends, and we'll try our best.
Can I just a little bit more? Okay, you just add.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We have the Buddha's teaching. Okay.
Yeah.
The nature to help us. On the other hand, we have the spiritual thing. What do you think of spiritual help? Like, for example, Kuan Yin, all the, not. Like when you have problems, you turn to God, all this, I mean, ultimately it's yourself do it, okay? But when you don't have the understanding of the teachings, no, you still need that spiritual help too, isn't it? To you know, just to help you a little bit through, to give you some confidence. Is it?
Yeah, sure, of course. But then, where do you get it? Where you get it by listening teachings. I don't know.
Yeah, to come, like spiritual help sometimes.
Yeah.
And so once you are more confident with the Buddha's teaching, and then you lessen the spirit. Ultimately, it's yourself, it's your mind.
Yeah.
It's from the mind, the mind.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, the mind is forerunner of all things.
Of all things, it's a forerunner.
Yeah, and it sounds complicated, but basically.
But that's nature. That's the real thing.
Yeah, but don't make it into too much of a thing. What are we supposed to be doing instead of like making this self into massive things? Like, oh, look at me, and then there's the self is like we're trying to just shed this idea of self and not be so. Make it into, like I said, that's why I like the idea of mind belongs to nature, body belongs to nature. Don't hold on to too much onto it. It's like don't make too much of it. Allow it just to fade away.
But for a person who doesn't know much about the teaching yet,
you know enough, Eddie. Yeah. Enough.
Sorry.
You know enough. Yeah. No.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for everybody, and thank you for the volunteers. We had Konrad and Jana, and Jana, 8 years old. See, look, we have the child labor here. Thank you, Jana, volunteering to being our recording team. We even have the little children helping us. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you. And we see you around this weekend. So good. We pay respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha.